Hello and welcome back to another in-depth video. Today we are talking about the scenarios in the Northeast for Winter Storm Quinlan as this storm is making its way through the east as we speak. So, as of the time that I'm recording this, which is right around 10:30 Friday night, this is the current watches, warnings, and advisories. So let's go through them. We have winter storm watches in parts of Pennsylvania. Winter weather advisories in Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri, North Carolina, not South Carolina actually, Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, and winter storm warnings in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, Kentucky, Virginia, Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, as well as Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. So here is the HRRR, and this is the very latest model run. We could be seeing as we, let me zoom back here. So right now we have this long band of wintry precipitation, and then we will also start to see our thunderstorms start to pop up here. I'll link my videos to both my detailed explanation about this storm as well as the severe threat alongside it up in the cards above. So as we see that this is going to start to develop here, 1,002 millibar low pressure, we also see that as it gets closer to the coastline, we have a lot of intensification in the Northeast. So let's go city by city here. So Pittsburgh, you're going to start to see some snow here in the next few hours as I'm recording this. So by the time you're waking up, it should be snowing. This is right around 11 p.m. on Friday. So by the time you're watching this, it should be snowing already. Now, Memphis, Nashville will already be seeing snow at this time as well. And then we move into areas such as Atlanta could see some snow around 4 or 5 a.m. Buffalo already seeing snow, moving into like Syracuse, Rochester, Albany starting to see snow around 6, 7 a.m. D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Boston still in all rain at this point. This is 7 a.m. Saturday. Now, at 8 a.m., we start to see D.C. and Baltimore start to switch over to some wintry precipitation. And by 10 o'clock, we could see Philadelphia and New York start to switch over to wintry precipitation. Finally, by right around 2 or 3 o'clock, we could see Boston switch to sleet and eventually snow around 5 o'clock. So, as the storm moves out, it will be intensifying, and that kind of leads to most of our heavy snowfall totals, which are, let me go back a mile run here so we can get our full scope of this storm. The overall snowfall totals seem to be increasing at the moment, especially further east. So our 3 to 6 inch range covers areas of Portland and Portsmouth and Hartford and Bridgeport and New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C. Then our 6 to 12 inch range covers areas around Albany as well as up in Vermont, potentially parts of northern New Hampshire, parts of northeast Pennsylvania, and then back into the Appalachian Mountains. Finally, our winds. This is a very significant part of this storm, and it is, I think less talked about than other parts of this storm system. As this low pressure continues to move up the coast, we will see, especially in areas such as New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, 20 to 30 knot sustained winds. And that continues into areas like Long Island, potentially into Massachusetts as well. So as this storm is moving through, strong winds will accompany it. This is just constant wind speed. This does not take into account wind gusts, which could exceed 50 miles an hour. Let's go back another mile run here so I can get the full scope. So yeah, as we move out, you could see some of those stronger winds from the northwest in areas of the northeast as well. Mostly in that 15 to 20 mile an hour range, but it could be significant enough to, not really blow around some snow, except for in the very western areas of this storm, but just make things a little bit hectic out there. Now, let's go over scenarios. Scenario number 1 is the inland track. At the moment, this is the least likely track out of the 3. So, you have most of the coast, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, really not getting much. Maybe Philadelphia sees the most here, like a trace. Then you move inland, where Albany is in that 3 to 6, around that 3 to 6 inch range. But the main areas getting heavy snowfall are up in Vermont and northern New Hampshire, northern Maine, parts of central New York, and central Pennsylvania. Scenario 2. This is the coastal track, where it's very similar to the previous track, just a little bit of a shift east. So, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, all getting little snow, maybe at most like a coating in most spots. But then you move further inland, areas like Albany in that 3 to 6 or 6 to 12 inch range, all of Vermont at least getting 3 inches, most of New Hampshire, most of Pennsylvania, and most of upstate New York getting 3 inches plus, with some areas getting that 6 to 12 inch range. Finally, scenario 3, which as of right now seems to be our most likely track, is the offshore track, where areas just like such as down east Maine, parts of eastern parts of Massachusetts, Cape Cod, parts of southeast Rhode Island, not going to see any snow because that low pressure will be close enough and strengthening, since it is going to be tapping into that Atlantic moisture, that we could see mostly rain in these spots, and that switch over to snow will be too brief to really pick up anything. Now, in terms of our major cities, Boston in that 0 to 3 inch range, New York and Philadelphia in that 3 to 6 inch range. Then you have Albany in 6 to 12 inch range, basically all of Vermont, most of New Hampshire, the northern parts of New Hampshire, interior Maine, parts of northwest New Jersey, parts of western Massachusetts, northwest Connecticut, maybe even most of western Connecticut, eastern parts of Pennsylvania, getting 6 to 12 inches. This is the most significant and severe of the 3 tracks, and it does seem like this is the most likely track at the moment. So, my best guess throughout the day has mostly been this. That we see just this thin strip of 6 to 12 inches from Tennessee up through Maine. Let's extend this pink into Maine. I do think that this track is a little bit further east and more into that third track, this offshore track, where we could see areas that weren't originally supposed to get a lot of snow now get more snow. Most of these areas, such as parts of Massachusetts, Connecticut, southern New York, New Jersey, parts of down east Maine getting more snow. Then originally we were seeing more of this track, which really showed very minimal snow. And we kind of saw this gradual shift to the east as we saw the storm load in. We saw originally most of the models were showing the inland track, where most of the major cities weren't getting anything. Then we saw them move to the more coastal track, where still inland New England and inland northeast areas were the target for the storm, but still maybe a little bit of snow in the major cities and the coastal areas. Now we're seeing more of just a slight adjustment, more so to the south. I think the main difference between these two is that strength will allow for more cold air to push in just a bit further south, not just east, even though east is a factor here, of course, but more south. Therefore, you see a drastic change in areas such as Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, southern parts of New York, northern parts of New Jersey and eastern parts of Pennsylvania between these two tracks. You can see areas depending on the track. Let's just take, for instance, let's take northwest New Jersey, like the very northwestern tip of New Jersey. In scenario 1, 0 to 3 inches. Scenario 2, 0 to 3 inches, most likely on the 2 to 3 inch end of that range. And then finally, scenario 3 is 6 to 12. So we're seeing that shift further south and a little bit further east with this third track, which is becoming more and more likely. So this is my final coverage for Winter Storm Quinlan. Enjoy the snow today. It looks like in the Northeast, this could be the last shot at significant snowfall, especially in those major cities and coastal areas. So enjoy the snowfall today. And that is all I have for today and this storm. So if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell. And I'll see you guys next time.